And call the North Plains Planning Commission for May 8th order at 6 o'clock. Rise, the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair King,
Here.
Vice Chair Labonte, here, Commissioner House,
Here.
Commissioner Cannondale,
Here.
Commissioner Para,
Here.
Commissioner Van Domelen.
Here.
Commissioner Miller is excused this evening, and your ex officio is Mayor Lanahan. Happy New Year. Thanks.
Thank you. Item number 4 is public comments. This time is available for anyone in the audience or on Zoom for any comments or questions of the planning commission business that are not on the agenda.
We're recording, but we're not on that.
Anyone on Zoom?
No,
Questions?
No.
Comments?
That's all. No.
no hands.
Thank you. Item number 5 is approval of the minutes for April the 10th. Changes? Corrections?
I have one suggestion for something.
Okay.
Under the city file TA 24-25. Saying brought up some issues in the report that she thought needed to be addressed. Perhaps it could say suggested the following changes.
And I will just bring it up just for the fun of it, but it's on page 4 of the public hearings. No declaration of ex parte or conflicts of interest should be ex parte con. I'll entertain a motion. Been moved by Commissioner Cannondale, seconded by Commissioner Van Domelen for approval of the April 10 minutes as presented with slight corrections. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Minutes passed unanimously. Item number 6, unfinished business. Yeah.
At this time, we don't have any unfinished business.
Commissioners, unfinished business? Item number 7, new business.
Yeah, new business. Thank you, Chair King. At your June 12th meeting here next month, we will be having a hearing on the proposed marijuana dispensary on Glencoe Road across from Subway. So that application has been deemed complete. We've sent out notices. The published notice goes into the paper on the 16th. And so we're all set and ready for a hearing on that application.
Sorry, I think you're not recording, I think, but.
It says it's recording. I mean, it shows recording. You know, there's been some discussions recently that I've shared with the chair and I think other folks have heard that there are some folks who are looking to do an affordable housing project here in North Plains. They've been in conversations with us on a weekly basis, trying to work through the issues and whatnot on how that would be reviewed and processed. They were trying to see if we needed to do a type 3 review, since everything is based on clear and objective standards and all the conditions have to be clear and objective. There's nothing though in the Senate bill that says we have to do anything other than what our code requires in terms of the review process. And so in speaking with the city's attorney, we both agree that we will be bringing this application before the Planning Commission, even though everything is based on clear and objective standards. To that end, staff is working with the city attorney to put together a work session for your June 12th meeting to go over Senate Bill 8. So he can answer any questions that you might have, provide some clarity on the Senate bill, how it applies to the 2-acre property in the Bryn Hill subdivision. And so I've already shared it with Chair King, a copy of that Senate bill document, which is ORS 147A, excuse me, dash, I had it here, dash, 0.400. So I will share that with the rest of the planning commission here tomorrow morning. And hopefully it will give you time to review it and formulate any questions you may have for the work session on June 12th. Outside of that, I think everybody's familiar with where we're at with UGB. So we see a lot of signs around town right now, but by and large, they're all pretty much where they should be. So we're not doing too much policing of the signs unless they're really in a clear vision area or absolutely in a spot that they're not supposed to be. So as you imagine, there's been that have been vandalized. There's been signs that have been taken down and put back up. And but by and large, it's gone okay. So hopefully this will be over soon, right? And we won't have to worry about signs anymore. Other than that, I don't have anything else for new business.
On the multi-housing, that just outright takes our zoning for mixed use away?
That is how the Senate bill has been written. If the property is zoned commercial or it is zoned as a mixed use requiring some type of a commercial component, that if it's an affordable housing project, then they do not have to provide that type of mixed use development.
Doesn't that screw up the density then in Brent Hill?
That's another thing that they're working on with our attorney right now. Part of Senate Bill 8 allows for an increase in density. So right now that 2-acre parcel was designated to have 48 units on it. They're looking to try and get 60 units on it. Again, we're working through all those scenarios right now. The way the NC zone reads is the minimum density for development in the north and east sub areas here have to maintain at least 8.4 dwelling units per acre. There's no maximum density in that zone. It's just a minimum density at 8.4. And so we're kind of going through the master plan approvals, the subdivision approvals to understand if any modifications need to be made there or if Senate Bill 8 provides them the opportunity to just do it through Senate Bill 8. So again, there's been lots of discussions. I don't have every answer right now for you, but I imagine between now and June 12th, when we prepare the work session, those will probably be resolved. They do plan on parking, and parking is something that we can require. One thing that they understand is we do not have a mass transit system here, and that people do rely on their vehicles to get around. So they do, they have indicated to me at least that they will be providing parking at least one space per unit, and it could be a little bit more. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Does Senate Bill 8 have anything
Pardon?
does it have anything to do with not requiring our parking requirements?
It does not. We actually can, what we can apply in this particular situation is all the clear and objective criteria in our code. So the review has to be based on clear and objective criteria, and the conditions of approval have to be clear and objective. So that's another thing we're working on right now with our legal counsel, and theirs is to vet what criteria would apply in the event they apply for an application to do this. So, but it would 80% of the AMI.
So
Well, the dollars for this project will be coming from the state. The dollars for this project will be coming from the state. So they're putting in for state dollars right now. And there will be a requirement that, you know, through the state and through us that, you know, these units are at least in that bracket for at least 60 years to be able to qualify. And again, all these things are being fleshed out, but I think 60 years is something we can require. So we would like to have, if we're going to do this, we want it to be available for as long as possible.
Affordable housing, 4 years.
Mhm. We are fortunate that this group is been agreeable to a lot of things that we've talked about. Even if it's not clear and objective, or even if it is something that is outside of the ORS requirements. So again, it's been an ongoing negotiation, and I think they've been pretty reasonable overall.
Chairman, I have a question. If I may.
Go ahead.
Could you remind me what the zoning is for the 2-acre parcel?
Entire area up there is zoned neighborhood community.
All of it is, even the mixed use area, that's neighborhood, that's NC.
That's correct.
It's not business.
That's correct. But it has a requirement as the approval for that subdivision that is set aside for a mixed use development that could include commercial or industrial.
But wasn't there a time frame on that development agreement, like for 5 years?
There is, and it's the requirement is that it needs to be made available for the mixed use development for 5 years from the time of the phase that property is in.
That's the first phase.
And that's the first phase. And I don't believe it's been 5 years yet since the last occupancy permit had been issued for the final home in that phase.
And so, I'm not an expert on SB 8 and I'm still learning about SB 8. But doesn't the city have the ability to have a choice or a desire to participate in this? I mean, is this set in stone, or is there an avenue where cities actually have a choice to do that or not based on the zoning of the property?
Yeah, that's a really good question. This group did a similar project down in Corvallis on a property that had mixed use zoning with a planned development overlay. And they shared some of the conversations that they had with the Corvallis attorney on that property. And that attorney found that they could not require the mixed use development on that property if they were doing an affordable housing project. We've shared their attorney's comments as well as the Corvallis attorney's letter with our legal counsel. And he concurred with the Corvallis legal counsel that if they do a strictly affordable housing project, that Senate Bill 8 would preclude our ability to be able to require that project to be mixed use.
And since this is something that is, I think, it's very new to our community, isn't there a space where we can actually have a little bit more dialogue about this to see how that might fit into our community?
Maybe you can expand on that a little bit.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just asking, because, in my past history with being on the council and that sort of thing, we've had things sort of like almost, the train left the station. Oh my God, now we have to do X, right? So is Senate Bill 8 saying you have to do this, right? And where I feel like we should have an opportunity or space to have a conversation about this so that we better understand it and how it fits with our community. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, and that's why we want to do the work session with the Planning Commission. I also discussed doing a joint work session with both the Planning Commission and the City Council with the city's attorney. So you could have the benefit of having that discussion to better understand this Senate bill. I guess we kind of turned a little bit more to the Planning Commission since they would be the decision-making body on this. But I think it would be best if we did it as a joint work session.
Well, I want the Planning Commission to vet it. Like, I want them to go through that process and have that conversation and vet it, because that's their role.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I'm trying to get them as much information as we can before the application comes in.
Yep.
The applicant has also agreed to come in and speak with the Planning Commission and City Council in a work session to share what they would like to do and why they would be taking advantage of Senate Bill 8. They've also agreed to doing a neighborhood meeting. And so I think we're trying to do as best we can to provide as much information to the city decision makers before this application comes before them.
Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions? New business? Okay. Item number 8 is the land use applications. And the city project monthly report. Any questions or comments on those?
Can be open.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
When is 313 gonna be open? That was a
That's
bummer, the
a-
garage sale.
That's a good question. Unfortunately, that's not my project. That's in the hands of Public Works. So I don't know the full details. I know there was a little bit of a delay this weekend with some of the rain. It caused a little bit of an issue with some water down in that neck of the woods. It sounds like maybe some of the storm lines weren't tied in the way they should have been. So that's been resolved, fortunately. But in terms of the time frame, I don't specifically know exactly when it's going to be done. But please reach out to Dustin in the Public Works Department. He has all that information.
And we'll move on to item number 9 is planning commission comments. Planning commission, do you have anything they'd like to bring up? Do we have anything that you'd like to bring up to city council? Item number 10, city council comments. Madam Mayor?
No,
Oh. That happened to me on Monday.
no, again, I appreciate this group and the work that you do. And I want you to, please feel comfortable, right? If you have issues in any capacity, or if you have suggestions in any capacity, I think it's important that you share those with the council as best you can, offline, whatever. But, our city right now is just really going through crazy times. And, the work that you all have done over the years, planning the city, planning the future of the city is important. And will continue to be very important. And I think that, we as a body of leaders in our community need to be cohesive and have consensus. We can also agree to disagree. But I really feel strongly about conveying the message to you all that we need to all work together and be on the same page as far as how we want to move forward with our future in our community, because we do get to have a say and we get to tell our community that we have a say. And so I'm hopeful that in your conversations with people in the community that you are actually sharing, vision, look at the 2035 vision, look at the other vision. I mean, just share these things with folks so that they understand that we are all working together. This is not one body against the other. This is all the leaders in our community are really trying their hardest to work together as one big team. And so I want to thank you for the work that you've done. And I encourage you to just, keep sharing and let's keep talking. Let's keep the dialogue open. Because we really want to make this an amazing community that it is and make it better. So thank you, Chucky.
Response? The planning commission?
Yeah, I guess I've got a response. So, well, probably not a response. But, I feel like, a lot of work into, getting to the urban growth boundary stuff. And I have not seen the city do anything positive like the Nobles have done in having meet like places where you could, and I would join and try to explain to people how they came to the decision. Yeah, a little too late. I know several people have sent their ballots already. And so I guess I'm a little disappointed in the response of not having this building opened up with some, what's happening this Saturday is like way late in my opinion. So I just wanted to express my discipline and all the time that is put into doing this. And I've seen letters going back and forth, but I didn't see any really good gatherings to be able to give people information. So there you go.
Thank you. I think you could respond and what the city's position is on that.
The city has been, over the years, we have been communicating, we've also been communicating with, newsletter. And Lonnie, I hear what you're saying. And I think one of the biggest concerns that a lot of, folks have is that, and I've gone to some of these events from the folks who are no votes, right? And I've looked around the room and the majority of the people in that room do not live in the city. And so that has been really problematic for me. They've called me out a lot. They've threatened me. They've threatened my family. I've had to take some serious steps to protect me and my family and my husband because of people who don't agree with me. And I find that very disturbing and I find it very wrong, right? And I will not engage with people who do not live in this community, who have been the driving force for this issue, right? I know there are people in this community that don't want it. I get it. And I've read documents and I know what some of the folks have said over the years, right? And I get it. But also, I've also been in situations in the last year, less than the year, where everybody in a particular room, they're from somewhere else. Hillsborough, Portland, Beaverton, Buxton, Banks, and beyond, right? And so I have to ask myself, because I can only speak for myself, Lonnie, it's like, why would I want to engage with these folks? They're not my constituents, but I hear what you're saying. Why didn't we? Yeah.
Very informational and actually would help change my mind about things.
Sure.
And I think that could have been done to better educate people on, instead of listening to what they're hearing from other people, maybe get educated. And that's what I'm talking about. I would not expect anybody to go and put themselves in front of a bunch of people who are against you. That's
Sure.
stupid.
Right.
But I'm just saying, it would have been nice to have some more education. Just like what's happening Saturday.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I already have a commitment. You can't be there for that, but
Yeah.
then they get to show up where there's people who are actually, you're not onesie twosie, you're in a group of people that are
Sure.
were a part of how we made the decision. So
And I know that we have been doing a lot of door knocking and we've done a lot of conversations with people at their front door. And some of the questions that I've even asked folks is like, how come you don't come out? And they're like, I don't want to, I'm afraid.
Yep.
They're afraid to speak out because they're afraid of what could potentially, they're afraid to put a sign in their front yard because they're afraid of the repercussions from the other side. And you got to respect that. I mean, that's a true fear. So, but I hear what you're saying. And, there's always definitely room for improvement. But, yeah, just how I feel about that.
What I was getting at is more of the city's position of what they can do, what they should do, and that kind of thing. People that are in favor of it, the fact they're doing something may not be exactly what other people think they should do, but I was talking about how the city has to take a position.
They have to take a very clear cut. It's very clear, cut and dry, very neutral, just the facts. This is the information. This is what we can post online. This is what we can provide. And they cannot provide an opinion. They cannot provide support one way or the other, or opposition one way or the other. The city is not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to do that.
With that being said, I will just say that folks have come into the city to meet with us, whether it's myself or Andy or both of us. And we've had some really productive conversations with those folks. So I do appreciate the ones who are interested enough to take the time to come down and speak with us. Most of them have been on the side of saying no, but by the time they left, I think they had a lot going through their head that may sway them in their thought processes. And I think one of the big ones is understanding that, you know, even if the vote was to come out in favor of the no, that does not mean the city's not going to grow. We still are obligated under Goal 14 to put together a plan for a 20-year supply of land. And so that's still going to be something that we have to work on. So regardless of what happens in the vote, there's still going to be a UGB process that's going to happen. And there's still going to be some type of movement of the urban growth boundary to accommodate our responsibility to the state to maintain a 20-year supply. So I think when people start hearing some of that message and start understanding that a no doesn't mean that it's just going to stop everything, I think they start putting a lot more thought into what makes more sense. And I think one thing that they've not heard a lot of maybe from the no campaign is what is their vision of smart growth? You know, where does this go? Where does the 20-year land supply go in your vision? And that's not something they've articulated. And I believe if they were to do that, it might turn some of the no people off, and they might be a little bit more supportive of the proposal that we currently have. And so again, I'm grateful for the folks who have taken the time to come in. Not everybody has come in. Some people have caught us on the street, and we've talked to them on the street. But it's an effort that we have tried to at least provide baseline information to them, so they understand at least why we're doing what we're doing, and you know, why we reached the conclusions that we did.
Verified that they were going to be added on if they put a yes sign. So there is those people out there that are terrified, but they're going to be silent.
Yeah, I've actually encountered somebody yesterday at the bank that saw my address and application and expressed the same thing. It's just not wanting that.
That I talked to with that, they said the town really doesn't.
Yes.
I mean, we've, you know, this has kind of come full circle, if you will, too, because as you can imagine, you know, we don't have the resources to police every single sign that's being placed here in town. And we've kind of shared that information with folks to know that, you know, we just don't have those resources. And so we received a very interesting email today from the No campaign, from the No PAC. As many of you probably know, they were putting up their temporary political signs well in advance of what our code would allow. Now they're coming back to us and saying, we see some signs, some yes signs in areas that we don't believe they belong. Can we take them down and bring them to the Public Works office? That just blew my mind that they would even send us that type of email. The signs that they were asking about were removed. I don't know by who, but they're not where they were any longer. So you can kind of see what's happening. It's going to be really fortunate for everybody, I believe, when May 21st comes and goes. We'll be able to talk about different things.
And it just, as far as I know, that every yes sign is permission to be where it is. And most of the no signs apparently are just helter-skelter, and I'm sure a lot of them don't have permission.
The area in question was the corner of Commercial and Glencoe. Those were the signs they wanted to remove. And now they're gone, and I'm sure they'll be back, but we don't have the time to play that game.
All right, enough of that. So let's move on to item number 11, staff comments.
I think I've given you everything I got tonight.
Okay. Any questions for staff on anything? So any other commission business? Our next regular scheduled meeting is June the 12th at 6 o'clock here. And we are adjourned at 6:29.